So I'm trying out a different method of filming this time round. Normally I would be sat down there on the chair, but I kind of decided to give something different and try standing in my living room for once. So let's go. So hey, it's Harry Husky, and this is going to be my annual, end of year summary, and just talking about a few things moving forwards into 2023. Now going into 2022, it felt like from the start it was going to be a better year than the past couple of years that we've had, because with obviously the COVID-19 pandemic and local restrictions, did have a massive damp down on people's livelihoods, including mine as well. Because let's face it, the past couple of years has not been a great start to the decade. Obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic being the biggest reason, and also local restrictions moving forwards at the end of 2021, because I know that Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland were imposing new restrictions that had a massive impact on the hospitality industry and the events industry and other sectors of the economy. Whereas in England, people were absolutely fine because we barely had that many restrictions other than masks being made mandatory in certain indoor settings. But the problem is with that is that back in February, it almost caused a charity event that would thankfully allow to happen in the end. Because of restrictions imposed by the Scottish Government, it almost never happened, and it pretty much put me in a mood that I just didn't absolutely want to go, because of restrictions there at the time and restrictions that were being imposed before, because I was worried it was going to dampen down the experience. But I was so glad that I went there in the end, and it was actually the first time I looked like this outside of my own house, and the fact that I was able to meet people and see people like this in this form, and to have people come and meet me not behind a computer screen, was so many words I could say for that. But it was ecstatic, I think, is probably the best word I can say for that, because it was great to meet some of you and to see you all for the first time like this, just not behind a webcam or on Discord or anything, or just me talking to a camera. But 2022 also proved to be a difficult year for a lot of us in the world, but most notable, I think, the people who were hit the hardest this year was definitely the people of Ukraine, and I don't think I even need to say why. I have so much words that I have to say about Russia's leader, but I'm not going to, because of the audience this channel sometimes does have, and because I just don't want to end up getting myself into a lot of shit. But there are so many things that need to be said about that leader, and there are so many things that need to be done to that leader because of what he has done to the good people of the Ukraine. But I've better not go any further with that. But the other thing is, which I think has been a terrible way to end the year, the cost of living crisis. The UK has been hit the hardest. I know that the cost has been going up in other countries and part of the world, but from what I've heard and what I've seen, is that my home country is the worst for the increase in energy bills, gas prices, fuel prices, you name it. Wherever you need to live, it's become more expensive, and we of anywhere else in the world are paying more than anyone else in the world. Now I do hope that this Christmas you made it the best you could, and you still had a really good day given the circumstances in the world. Have I clipped? That's actually really... I just realised how close I was that I probably have to move the camera for the next video. Actually I'll probably do that now. So no, the thing I was trying... kind of changed my angle for this for a little bit. As the 2020s continue, we have been living through countless historical and unprecedented events that are going to be down in the history books, like I have been saying with the COVID-19 pandemic. The war in Ukraine, cost of living, so many other events, you name it. There's one other event that I definitely think will go down in the history books, and that is this year's World Cup, which was held in a country where gay rights are non-existent, trans rights are non-existent, but in short, LGBT rights in general were non-existent in that country, and with homosexuality punishable by imprisonment, or if you're Muslim, even death. and given the events surrounding the World Cup, it has proven to be probably the most corrupt sporting event in the history of humanity, given the fact that it's a country that has never qualified for any major sporting event. They've made it all about the money, the amount of migrant workers that have died building that stadium, and the icing on the cake of all that had to be the fact that Qatar is the first country where the host of a major sporting event was knocked out in the first round ever in any sporting event history of anything ever. But yeah, I think that's all I can really touch up on this terrible. I mean, it has its ups. I mean, I do have some pluses, and actually that's one thing I forgot to mention. Despite so many events making a return, biggest one notably Confessedly the UK's biggest ferry convention, despite catching COVID from there, it was definitely a really good time, and it was a highlight to my year, definitely. But speaking of COVID, the fact that I caught that this year after nearly a 2.5 year streak, and I caught it from Birmingham of all places. I mean, I could have caught it from Wolverhampton, I could have caught it from Coventry, didn't catch it from anywhere. As soon as I set foot into Birmingham, or as I come out of Birmingham, because I don't know, because I didn't catch it as soon as I set foot into Birmingham. I should probably just clear that up. I was testing myself constantly during the convention, but was showing a negative test every time, and it wasn't until I got home that I actually came down and tested positive for it. So yeah, it was quite a way to finish off the holiday. But with all that, what can we expect moving into 2023? Honestly, before this year actually, I said that it's not good enough to wish for a Happy New Year, we need to make it so. And honestly, after the events that I've seen in 2022, I'm disappointed. Biggest ones, of course, being war in Ukraine, cost of living crisis, and the Qatar World Cup. Which, I know the latter is definitely not as, you know... Oh god, I probably shouldn't have... But going into 2023, I do feel that we need to cooperate and work together to make this year better than the past 3 years. 2020, 2021 and 2022 were all years where... Okay, so I've always called 2020 the year that tried to kill us all. And if the COVID-19 pandemic didn't kill us all, then it would try and come up with a way to kill us all, like countless other ways. And then 2021 happened, more ways tried to kill us. And 2022 happened and more ways to try to kill us, with the war in Ukraine and the cost of living crisis. So what the hell is 2023 going to bring? Because I'm going to this year, after the past 2 years we have had, I have zero optimism for 2023, because it's going to be another year where it will try and kill us all. And I think that's the way things are going with the 2020s. 2020s are going to be the decade to me that will try and kill all of us. So God knows what is going to lie ahead in 2023, but I have to be in some way ready for it, and I think we all should too, because I genuinely can't wait for this decade to be over. I really can't, because it is a cursed decade. We've gone through countless historical events. There have been so many events and matters around the world that try to kill all of humanity, or it kind of feels that way. So, regardless of what happens in 2023, take care of yourself, look out for each other, and be kind to one another, always show love. And as the great Peter Capaldi said, hate is always foolish, and love is always wise. So, with that in mind, this has been Harry Husky. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the other side in 2023. So goodbye for now. Mwah.